21, and the way things are going is that we finally broken past the 16,000 mark, which was a good, nice long debate between bulls and bears, because a lot of people were really not ready to accept that we were going to make that breakout. So I've had so many people messaging, alternate wave counts, possibly the market is losing stream, the weakness in the economy because of the second wave, and so on and so forth. All these concerns have been around rising interest rates, inflation, blah blah blah. But the main driver essentially has been, government actions and policy, monetary policy in specific. And that's, I think, been the underlying theme that has been driving markets, I think, for most of the year, if not in India, around the world. And at the same time, sentiment, which typically, if you're looking for a market high, should be at an extreme positive, has actually been pretty negative. Even now, I think I hear people saying, you should be cautious. And that's not how you typically see market highs or market peaks. You never see that wind of caution, especially in the public space. That is when people are making public comments, especially financial managers, asset managers, traders, and the entire investment community doesn't really come out, with a word of caution at market highs. So that's typically not how it works, and so that is why I think there's still room for this to run for a while, even though you're seeing weakness in the very short term in terms of breadth. But then note at the same time that the Nifty was range bound for a pretty long time. You had pretty strong breadth, and that strong breadth came because the mid and small caps were actually heading higher and higher. So now all you might be seeing is simply rotation from, the large caps into the large caps, out of mid caps, and which simply means that the large caps start outperforming the mid cap space. But it doesn't really amount to a trend reversal yet. So while we'll continue to watch out for that possibility, I think the odds are still high that this particular market move attempts to or continues to extend on the upside, and that's why it's going to be quite interesting, because at each stage we're questioning ourselves on the thesis. Something or the other happens in the news, events, or environment that makes us really ask ourselves as to why this is really happening, why are markets really continuing if we have so many concerns. But many of those concerns can get addressed along the way, and that's what we'll be watching out for. If they don't really happen, then of course we can always come back and be concerned. But right now, it looks more like hang on to the momentum and trend with it. And overnight there was some concern relating to the dollar, which again and again. But one of the biggest divergences that we've really seen has been the dollar index actually not having the same kind of impact you would think it should have on the commodities and metal space. You haven't really seen an outright sell-off in the commodities, equities, based on the dollar bounce that we've been seeing recently. In fact, they are holding out stronger, giving an indication that probably the markets are ignoring the upward move in the dollar, and for probably some reason. And possibly that reason could be that the bounce is not for real, or rather it's a counter trend advance, and therefore the markets are really moving ahead of themselves, anticipating that the bearish dollar environment will probably resume and continue to aid the upward trend in many of these asset classes. So that's, I think, the main essence of what I'm taking away from these divergences as of now, and I hope that's how it is likely to remain. So the only other concern, I think, has been around the COVID waves, and I think that is something that we, at least in India, should be a little careful of, given that our slower pace of vaccinations has been going on, and our and history over the last year, that each wave has actually hit India with a lag of around 1.5 month, and therefore what we should end up seeing is that India will also see a third wave, like we are seeing in the US right now, and we've already seen in the UK. In fact, UK is already sort of cooling off from that wave, which is a good sign. But India is still to see that wave hit itself, and it should happen, I think, in the next month or so, where you'll start seeing cases in India rise on the Delta variant and other, and because of the opening up. Only hopefully this time the impact will be less, but because of our vaccination drive, I'm not sure about that, and that is why I think we should still be careful, irrespective of what markets do. So when I'm saying be careful, I'm not talking about the markets, because those are running on a completely different theme. which is liquidity, either domestic, global, or macro trends related to the dollar and commodity prices. But what I'm talking about is taking care of yourself till we are past this third wave and vaccinations reach a much higher plateau as far as India is concerned. So that's where we need to be more careful in our day-to-day lives even at this moment. So I think that's my general takeaway. No real change in opinion. And I'll be posting the Weekend with India Charts episode pretty soon on the website for those of you who really want to see it. We do the hourly, I mean, do the weekly recording early Saturday morning, and it's around a 1 hour discussion on markets. This time we've covered a lot on commodities and precious metals because that's where a lot of the recent volatility has been. And I'll be publishing it within the next hour, so it should be on the website for everybody to view. And of course, if you have not updated your app, which is the Android and iOS apps, both now have updated versions which have a couple of new features, and some of the bugs that were there in the iOS release got fixed overnight. So now you simply need to update it to the final version, and then you won't face those bugs. That is, you'll get notifications, and the new features, one of the best ones is being able to swipe through articles. So whether you choose any article list, if it's the latest articles, or you've done some search for a particular topic and you have a list of articles on that search or that particular stock, you can just simply swipe through all the previous articles and previous charts written on that particular stock. So you don't really have to go down the article list and look at each one. You can simply swipe and read the previous one, and that simply improves your quick experience of going through existing articles or any search list of articles. So that's something that we've implemented, and iOS didn't have the other implementations, which is zooming in into individual images and all. That's now in place. So you simply have to download and experience it. That's what I would say. It should be functioning smoothly for you now. And if you still have any issues, simply write to us at you can write to Chavan at Indiacharts.com, and we look at what issues you may be facing. If there are a few small bugs, we can get those fixed. But most of them, I think, are now functional. So you should be able to get a better experience on the app. So yeah, go ahead and download the update. That's about it. And watch the Weekend with India Charts episode that's live. And stay optimistic. I've already gone ahead and made changes in both where I'm working out of, where I have all my technical books. When you actually look back, I've finally managed to put them together in one place, easy to access. And I've also got myself a new look at the end of the second wave. Hopefully, I won't have to do it again, and there won't be a meaningful third wave, but there will be a third wave, which will be much milder than the second one, but it's going to be there. And so you need to be careful till that passes as well. Thank you.